Mr. Smith, the chairman of the Trade Subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ambassador Tai, for engaging here today. I certainly appreciate the conversation that we set up yesterday. I think you want to focus on solutions too. I respect that. That's certainly my goal. Point of clarification, on the 4-year review of the 301 tariffs, when that 4 years, when did that clock start? Was it 2018 or 2022?
So this is a fair question, and I feel like we should come up with a different term for this review. The 4 years refers to the four-year mark when the tariffs are in effect. So the tariffs began in 2018. At the 4-year mark, a review was triggered by stakeholders who reached out to USTR, and this is under the 301 statute to say,
so you wouldn't characterize this review as being at all late?
Sorry, link to...
the completion of the review.
Yes.
Would you acknowledge that we're a little behind on having that review ready for public?
So the review began in 2022, in September of 2022. For us, the approach to China is a deliberative, strategic, and thoughtful one, and I have a lot of confidence that we are nearing the end of that review.
Okay. I hope we can get this going so that we can process it, so the American people can process it, so that investors can process it. It's very important. No surprise, I'd like to talk about corn in Mexico. Has the president been briefed on what Mexico is doing with our corn?
Yes, Mr. Smith.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad to know that. My research shows that the president has had exactly nothing to say about what's taking place. That's disappointing. It would lead most reasonable people to believe that it's not a priority. It doesn't matter. Now, it's one thing for me, the representative of the 3rd District of Nebraska, big corn-producing district, to raise some concerns. I'm concerned certainly about my own constituents. I'm also concerned about rules-based trade and the perception that Mexico is getting a pass on this. The filing for the dispute resolution was roughly 2 years after the decree. The flagrant violation of USMCA was made. And perhaps there were some efforts to work something out to try to push back. I can't speak to those details. I've not been privy to those details. And there's folks who would characterize the decree went from bad to worse before it perhaps got better, but certainly not resolved. And I'm concerned that our president has had exactly nothing to say. Is there a downside to our president speaking up and saying that what Mexico is doing with our corn is wrong? Is there a downside to that?
Well, Mr. Smith, I am the U.S. trade representative in President Biden's cabinet, and I am here to talk about the president's trade policy agenda today. And I'm telling you that we are actively pursuing litigation with Mexico using the tools of the USMCA precisely to address what we consider to be an illegitimate and unscientifically based restriction on our trade in biotech corn to Mexico.
I understand that. You're a member of the cabinet. I appreciate that. I think that's important, that trade has a seat at the table. Looking at what President Biden has said publicly about various issues and what he has chosen, apparently, you're telling me that he has chosen to remain silent on this issue. I don't accept that as being concerned about the issue. And I respect you and your efforts and your team here, very capable of filing the dispute, even though it's been slow-walked, and Mexico answers that with slow-walking their responses in their interest. Okay, fine. But there seems to be an acceptance by President Joe Biden of what is happening. That's disappointing, it's frustrating, and that's on top of the fact that we basically announced to the world that we're not interested in market access, we're not really interested. I mean, take Kenya, for example. They're members of AGOA. AGOA is a good thing, means different things to different countries in Africa. Kenya, for example, they have the benefits, the unilateral benefits of AGOA, but they would love a trade agreement with us where we could negotiate market access, reducing those tariffs the chairman spoke about. And we've walked that back. Any effort that was made previously, we've actually walked backwards. We're losing ground. I'm concerned. I yield back.